Hi, this is Brad with the Vapeair Lounge, and we're doing something a little different this time. We're doing a video on tank maintenance, so stick around, check it out. Yeah, today we're going to take a look and we're going to do some tank maintenance. We're going to take them apart, we're going to look at them, and try to alleviate some typical problems that associate with tanks. Now let's dive on down and take a look at a tank. Alright guys, this is the Kangaroo top tank. What we're going to talk about here is I'm going to broken it down and I'm going to explain each piece individually. We're going to start with the bottom. The bottom is your airflow control. When you turn it, it opens. When you close it, it closes off the airflow. So there it is, fully open. There it is, fully closed. On it is your 510 connection and your positive pin. If you flip it around, you have your bottom gasket, which seals in your glass, and then you have your threading for your coil. This is your coil. Coils are going to range on wattage, on ohms, on temperature control, but in this instance we're just going to use this coil right here. As you see on the coil, there is a gasket on the coil which helps thread it in and keep it sealed so your juice cannot spill through and come out of your airflow. So basically what you're going to do is, when you want to replace your coil, you're going to unscrew it, take it out, and throw it away. When you get your new coil, you're going to screw it into the base, and you don't want to overdo this. You don't want to wrench it. You just want it to be finger snug, like so. You want to make sure your airflow is closed off, and then I'll get into that a little bit later, why you want to do that. Now going to the cage. The cage contains a top O-ring, a bottom O-ring. It contains the chimney, which is this piece right here, and then it has the caging for the top where you put your mouthpiece. The way you're going to connect this is, you're going to put the bottom over it and you're going to screw it down. The chimney should fit directly inside of the coil, and you'll just screw that on down. But before we do that, we want to put the glass on, right? This is a glass. This is something you want to protect with all means necessary. It's very important to the tank. It helps hold the juice in. You'll just slide it on over, and it should slide on that simple. If you have the right glass, it should measure out equally from the top to the bottom. You will then take this piece and screw it on down. And again, finger snug. Do not wrench it down. Then you have your top section. As you see here, this is the normal ports where you pour your juice in, not down in the center where the chimney is, but on the sides. Basically looks like kind of like kidneys on the side. So then you'll take your top piece and you'll screw that down. And then last but not least, your drip tip, and it just pops in place. Alright guys, this is just a little more advanced tank. This is the TFV8. As you see, I have it already taken apart for you. It's more or less the same thing. It just requires a little bit more wattage. You're going to get quite a bit more vapor out of it. But let me explain how you put this together. As you see, you have your bottom piece. On your bottom piece, your 510 connection, your positive pin, your airflow, big, glorious, wide open airflow. On this side, you have your O-ring, which traps your glass, helps keep your juice in. On the inside is your threading for your coil that connects to your positive pin. So again, you will take your coil. As you see, they're much larger than the top tank, but don't get confused, it's the same issue. You're basically going to do the finger snug down, and you'll screw it down until it's finger snug. You don't want to over-wrench them. Over-wrenching them causes the O-rings on the inside where the coil is to push down, and juice will always find a crack to get through, and that's why a lot of people see the issues of juice coming out their air port. So you're going to do the finger snug, then you've got your glass, slides on over the top, and then a little different to this is the top half, the chimney and the juice pour is all one piece. And as you see here, it has its gaskets right here to seal the chimney to the coil. And you just do the same thing, but only remember, finger snug, not over wrenching. When you over wrench, a lot of these parts are rubber or plastic, and they pinch down and it creates a hole. You don't want to create that hole for the juice to go into. So finger snug. On the top on this one, because it swings open, you have your fill port, which is the kidney, and then there's the chimney. You don't ever want to pour your juice down in the chimney. It will cause the coil to flood, and then you're in for a whole nother nightmare. You'll close that off. This is your drip tip. Last bit is to pop it into place. Alright guys, now that we've had a good up and close of tanks, different tanks, beginner, basic to more advanced, now I'm going to discuss a lot of issues that happen with coils and when to change them, if there's leakage problems and such. So first I'm going to start, it's going to be changing the coil. You're going to change your coil roughly week and a half to 2 weeks, and that's per manufacturer's guidelines. And you'll know when it needs to be changed if it's sooner, because to me it tastes like somebody took cardboard, rolled it up, and that's what you smoked on, and it's horrible. Another thing you can notice if you need to change your coil, excessive flooding. If it tastes like you're always getting juice in your mouth no matter what you do, it's just good advice to go ahead and change your coil. If you notice that it's burning out weird, it's not tasting right, other issues, just safe bet is just go ahead and change your coil. Another issue that we've seen a lot, just from my experience, when you get the flooding, an easy way to fix the flooding is first to check to make sure your coil is properly down, not overly tightened, not underly tightened. Remember what I was talking about with the finger snug. Another issue to check is if you've oversaturated when you do your priming, and that's an easy fix. What you want to do is you want to turn your device on with your tank on your device, and you want to do what's called a purge. You're going to push the button, you're going to exhale, and then you're going to inhale, and then you'll do that one more time, and it should clear any excess juice that's in the coil. And then this is just an example of how you would purge. Like I was saying, you're going to push the button, you're going to push out, as you saw, you push out, and then you inhale, and then you do it just one more time, just to make sure that there's no juice left in, stagnant juice left inside of the coil. And it should get rid of that flooding. Okay, issue number 2, it's still leaking. It's not the coil. Well, then the next thing you want to check are these little red bands that are right here. They're the O-rings. You want to make sure that they're still intact. Usually the tanks will come with extra O-rings or gaskets or whatever, and you really only need to change them when you see tears or breaks in your O-rings. That's when you need to replace your O-rings. And it's a real simple procedure. You take it apart, you pull them off, and then you put the new ones back in the exact same way. And then everything should be nice and snug. You'll feel the glass go on really snug, and the bottom and the top will go on really good and snug. Another issue that we see is I'm not getting enough vapor. It's not producing enough vapor. Well, in that case, you could first try upping your coil, because normally tanks will make a lower ohm coil, which will produce more vapor. Should get you that better satisfaction. Or you do the step up and you go to something a little more advanced, and that way it'll help you out with that issue. Alright guys, and when you're changing your coil out, and it's always a great thing to do, even when you're changing juices or just changing your coil so you get a good fresh taste, is to clean out the tank. And you can do that several different ways. One way that I'm going to recommend is warm water. You don't want to put the water on the coil. You never want to submerge it in water or anything else. You're only going to clean out the actual tank itself and all those parts. No soap and water, just warm water, and then you want to dry everything off really good with a paper towel. Our recommendation is that you remove the tank from the device completely, and that's so you don't accidentally press the firing button when you're doing all this and accidentally burn out your freshly new coil, or even burn out your old one even worse, or cause any other problems. You also have an ability to reset the pin if it's a floating pin. And guys, remember, a clean tank is a happy tank. A happy tank is a happy vapor. So if you like all these videos that we're doing here, like, comment, and subscribe. Check out our social media, our Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. And guys, we have our media, Facegram,